Hi, my name is Lou, and I put my bed frame up for free on Facebook Marketplace. DJ, hit that track. Now, I have turned it into a PowerPoint and also a musical. And because it's being filmed for national TV, I've decided to leave her full name and Facebook profile picture in because I don't give a Is the bed frame still available? Yes, it is. Gay emoji. Can I please negotiate the price? No. What? It's free. You're on a hard bargain, Lucia, but that's just not the way Marketplace working. I'm like, okay, how about half price just for you, Eileen? How much now? Still free. Dance, dance, dance. You are the best. Party, party. Here's my address. Wow, that's a long, long way from my place now. How about a small discount? I said, Eileen, I can't be clear. It's free to pick up. Could you drive it to me, please? What the No, please, no, please, no, please, no, please. I don't own a car. Why didn't you say so? I can drive. See you tomorrow at 5. Very, very early the next morning, I received this message from Eileen. Lucia, I'm out the front. Sent at 5 a.m. I said, see you at 5. Please come out and let me in. I should have known not to trust you. Axe, pickaxe, fire. Should have known you didn't care. Vomit, fire. I show up on time. Are you dead? Please. Where is bed? I was like, finding Coney, it's where is bed? How was I supposed to know that what you meant was 5 a.m.? Knock, knock, knock. Let me in. No, it's not an ideal time for you to get the bed frame. What time then? I'm like, could you come back at 8? But I'm outside. Yeah, my housemates are sleeping. Should I just knock? This is getting creepy. 8 a.m. That's my final offer. What if I gave you $200? I'm like, Charlotte, no way, your bed is worth shit. You won't get that out of me. I'm like, you don't have to collect it. Okay, see you at 8. I go back to sleep. I wake up at 8. Is she there? No f***ing way. 12 hours later, this. Let's see you. I'm here again. It's 8 p.m. Yes, where is the bed? The concept of time too hard for you to comprehend. You're 12 hours late. I can't get you the bed. I'm at work right now. Like, I'm not even home, but I came all the way back for it. Yup. No. Please. Heartbreak. Pumpkin emoji. Sorry. Typo. Seriously, please. Where the bed? Eileen, that's the lady's back. What, can you help her get the bed? Sure, okay. Housemate's home. Knock on the door. Ask for Tim. 402, 403. Knock, knock, knock. 403. Knock, knock, knock. Anyone in? Angry dolphin pile of shit. If you're going to be a shit, you'll never get the bed. But I really want it, and I'm already there. The bed's not packed up. This is not what I expected. I'm taking off the bedding and the pillow and the mattress. What? There is no bedding. Just talk to Tim. He'll show you what to take. Is this free? Picture of pillow. That's not my pillow. Taking pillow. Where'd you get the pillow? What even is the pillow? Where the fuck are you? Is Eileen there? No. Shit. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's perfect. It's exactly what I want. Bigger than I thought. And free bedding. Thank you. 5 stars. Miss call, miss call, miss call, miss call, miss call, miss call, miss call. Cannot talk driving with it. Eileen, can you please pick up? Gay, Adam, and you took my bed. Tim said you never picked it up. Thank you for the bed, Lucia. Miss call. Eileen, a message from my neighbor in our apartment complex. We have been robbed. Our bed was taken. Lock your doors! Eileen, you stole my neighbor's bed. My bed's still here. You took the wrong bed from the wrong house. I didn't know such thing. Then she blocks me. Eileen, please. Where is bed?
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Very rare for a woman to be able to make me laugh like that, but she did. That was funny. Tip the cap. Good. Dealing with a cough. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Viewers Discretion. That's right, no jacket night. How are you doing? I hope that your weekend has been as phenomenal as mine. Mine, thank God. Phew, amazing, amazing. I want to give you all a heads up. In case you missed some of the notifications, in case you missed the heads up earlier, I want to make sure everyone's on the same page here in case, for one reason or another, you're still not signed up at goodlogic.locals.com and you don't realize that that's where you get all notifications for where I appear. Oh, pretty good about that. I haven't been perfect about it lately. Don't tell anyone. But I've been pretty good. I'm really good at it. I'm really good. That's where you most likely get notified. That's definitely the place. Good Lodge. What place is it? It's Good Logic. Goodlogic.locals.com. So yes, if you're not signed up there, you may not be aware of the fact. If you missed a few minutes of some of my shows, you might not be aware that Jewish holiday of Shavuos. Israelis call it Shavuot. Americans, I think, call it Pentecost. Don't ask me why. And yes, so that starts tomorrow evening, sunsets, Sunday night, which means, and it goes for 2 days, which you can count as 48 hours, but it really is like 50 hours because we start before the sun sets and we don't stop till after the stars are out. So yeah, it's like 50 hours, which means that I'm not going to wrap up Shavuot until Tuesday evening, figure around 9:30 p.m. local time. And I'm not going to be home either, which means that I'm going to be like, I'm going to have to come home. I'm not sure if I'm doing a show Tuesday night or not. Maybe if I get Jim in, maybe we'll see. If there's something big going on in the world, more likely I'll do a show. But yes, so that's your notification. So there's no show Sunday night. There's no show Monday night. I'm not going to be in court. There may or may not be a show Tuesday night. Wednesday night, definitely expect to have a show. But that's my schedule for this coming week. Also, I'm not going to be able to be in court Monday or Tuesday. So none of those Diddy updates. I'll try to catch up sometime, like on my train ride in there or whatever. At some point, I'll try to catch up. And if I'm not doing a show Tuesday night, that's the time I'll catch up. But I will be back in court on Wednesday. So if you're wondering about my Diddy coverage or you're wondering where I am, that's your answer. Jewish holiday, Shavuot, 2 days, no work, no internet, no electronic interaction. Basically, as I disappear off of the social media map altogether. Celebrating, if you're wondering what the holiday is about, it's celebration of our receipt of the Torah as a gift from God. So the whole 10 Commandments thing, that happened on Shavuot, what we call Shavuos. Shavuos translates in English into weeks because we count 7 weeks as we're excited to get the gift of the Torah from God. So there you go. Anyway, I also have tonight the man who made this show possible, because without him, there would have been no show tonight. And that is the man, the myth, the legend, Jim Tells You.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
How are you, my brother?
Yes, there will be a show Tuesday. I will have stories ready to go.
You'll have stories ready to go. He's saying we'll have a show Tuesday. All right, good chance. Good. I guess it's probably not going to start at 10. It probably would start like at 11. Because
if I have to go out and make the news myself, there will be stories.
If he's gonna mug some old ladies, Jim's gonna basically. I'll tell you this: if you're in the news and you want to co-host a show with me, I'll do a show. Then we'll put it. Then we'll do it. And I want you to know something. I want to address the elephant in the room at the start here. I have Jim back here, and I know some people feel like this. Oh, he's still around, and you shouldn't take that the wrong way. It's not a knock on you. It's a knock actually more on me than on you, because no one here has ever complained about your commentary or anything that you said or that you're not engaging. I think the problem, and I noticed this the last time I had Jim on, is that people feel like I don't engage the audience as much as I do when I have a guest on or a co-host in this scenario as I normally would. And I think people sort of feel like the major attraction for why they enjoy this show is that I am trying to watch what's happening in the chat here and engaging with them. So I want to tell you, Death Angel, who I know is a regular viewer here, a good guy.
He says he likes me. There.
Right. Okay. So maybe he's being sarcastic with that other comment. But so I know some people have had that complaint. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to work extra hard to ensure that I am still engaging the audience in roughly the same manner as when I fly solo. I look at that as a criticism of me, not of you or of the audience. It's purely a matter that I have to do it better. And I'm going to.
I can always sit in the back room too. It doesn't matter.
So you'll introduce a story. We're like, all right, thanks for coming by, Jim. That was great. That was great. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I gotta figure it out because Jim makes it possible for me to have a show. Because when I'm covering the Diddy trial, it's very hard for me to catch up on the news because it just consumes all my time. So it's almost as if if World War III was starting, it's like, well, I don't know. Let me tell you about what this witness said in court today. And I'm like, wait, we're at war? When did that happen? So, and it's like, and I'll only know because Jim tells me. So, because the same way Jim tells you. Mm-hmm. There you go. All right. Let's get things started here. First up here, let me see the first story that you have for me. I'm going to pull this link up.
I have 11 stories in there.
11 stories. All right, I'm going in order here for what you gave me. All right, this is the first one Jim has for us tonight. Let's see what he's got. DHS police handcuff.
No.
Oh my gosh!
No,
wrong.
Wrong. No.
That's not right.
That was no. You got to go to see. It says first topic.
First topic. Jesus. First topic.
Yeah. See.
Oh, I see. Okay. I see. I did that wrong. That was on me. We're getting there.
Yeah.
First topic.
There should be 3 links there.
I got it. There's 3 links in one. Oh my God. Okay. So let me. You're running this story as like a story. This is like the way I would do it. I like it. All right, so let me pull up these 3 stories and we can jump from one topic to another. All right, we'll do it this way. Why are you being different? Okay.
And surprisingly, I was able to copy it from the email and just paste it in there.
All right, Rubio showed Europe that the U.S. would not simply stand by as European censors determined what Americans could say, read, or watch. As the EU threatens companies like X, it's time for the U.S. to treat this as an attack on our citizens from abroad. I agree with Jonathan Turley on this. I agree with most things Jonathan Turley says. He's a very smart attorney. He is. And he's pretty based. I don't always agree with him, but I agree with a lot of what he says. And this one, I'm certainly on page.
He's not a conservative in any sense of the word. But I wouldn't mind him being on the Supreme Court.
I would tend to agree with you. From what I've seen from him so far, he's a well-reasoned individual. Hill's out with my column on Secretary Rubio barring global censors from entering the country. I didn't realize why would they even need to do it from America? I don't understand that. Why wouldn't they be able to do this from abroad? Like, I don't know how that doesn't, unless it's a way of just, we're going to punish you. Once you've been acting like this abroad, now F you, we're not letting you in here because you've been attacking our country.
I think what they're going to do is deny visas or entry visas to people to come to like the UN or whatever. Nope, you can't come in.
FDR warned during World War II, quote, no man can tame a tiger into a kitten by stroking it. Well, Rubio just stopped petting the tiger. Read that as you like. Joe Napolitano and Jonathan Turley show. I didn't know he's got a show. Okay. He's got a show. All right, let's see what his article is in the Hill. The Hill wants to show. No, I don't want them to show me notifications. All right. Marco Rubio declares war on the global censors. Winston Churchill once warned that appeasement is feeding the crocodile, hoping he will eat you last. He's a pretty smart man also. When it comes to the crocodile's censorship, history is strewn with defenders who later become digestives. Censorship produces an insatiable appetite for greater and greater speech limits, and today's censorship supports often become tomorrow's censored subject. This week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio stopped feeding the crocodile. Does he have a link here that we can check out? Oh, just his name. Okay.
Just a biography.
On May 28, 2025, Rubio shocked many of our allies by issuing new visa restriction policy that bars foreign nationals deemed responsible for censorship or protected expression in the U.S. This is what we signed up for. It's so sad. You want to know what makes me sad? Jim, you want to know what makes me sad?
What?
If you would have said to me when we're getting these people sworn in? Like, who do you have confidence in at the time that they're being sworn in, that this person is going to be fulfilling what we expect from them?
Rubio was not at the top of the list.
He's so far down. He's so far down on the list. And oh my God. Just see, this is something I didn't even think of. And I was like, oh, that's a great answer. This is a great response. Great response. And so many people that we have such high aspirations for have in the early months just, sullied themselves. I'm not saying I've given up on them. I haven't given up on anyone who he's brought in. I haven't. But they've definitely lowered my hopes and dreams and aspirations for him. So in Rubio, this guy is just, he's been impressive. The new policy follows a major address by Vice President J.D. Vance in Munich, challenging our EU allies to end their systemic attacks on free speech. Vance declared, quote, "If you're running in fear of your own voters, there's nothing America can do for you. We can't help you. Nor, for that matter, is there anything that you can do with the American people that elected me and elected President Trump. So adios, amigo." Or I guess it would be Wiedersehen. Wiedersehen, Siegfried. Wiedersehen. No, is that right? Wiedersehen?
Wiedersehen.
That's French,
I think,
right?
is that
I mean, that's German. That should be German, right? Wiedersehen, Siegfried. Right. Bon voyage. Bon voyage, Pierre.
You did have a gift come in of 10 gifted
I'm going there.
memberships. Okay.
I'm going there. I never ignore the Queen of Recruitment. The new policy, as at the time I called the speech Churchillian in drawing a bright line for the free world. Rubio's action is no less impressive and even more impactful. It's true, words can be really nice, but actions speak a hell of a lot louder than words. Europe has faced no consequences for its aggressive efforts at transnational censorship. Indeed, this should not be a fight for the administration alone. Congress should explore reciprocal penalties for foreign governments targeting American companies or citizens for engaging in protected speech. After Vance spoke in Munich, this place got a lot of pop-ups, don't they? After he spoke in Munich, I spoke in Berlin at the World Forum, where European leaders gathered in one of the most strikingly anti-free speech conferences I've attended. This year's forum embraced the slogan, "A New World Order with European Values." America should reject anything that has the phrase European values on it. We should want nothing to do with anything that reflects European values. If you think European values means Christian values, you're living under a rock for the last 3 decades. It is the most anti-religion, anti-science while proclaiming they're in favor of science, but it's basically New World Order perspective. The New World Order is based on an aggressive anti-free speech platform that has been enforced for years by the EU. At the heart of this effort is the Digital Services Act, a draconian law that allows for sweeping censorship and speech prosecutions. Most importantly, it has been used by the EU to threaten American corporations for their failure to censor Americans and others on social media sites. After the World Forum, I returned home to warn that this is, and by the way, EU is the canary in the coal mine. I mean, we are the last bastion of free speech. We're the last bastion of civil liberties. If you don't have it here, you don't have those liberties anywhere. We are the freest country on earth, and it's not even close. It's not even close. And whatever ends up becoming accepted off our shores, whether it's in the EU or Canada, Australia, or all the nations that we consider civilized, enlightened, it just starts breeding its way deeper and infesting and fusing itself into American culture as well. So I return home with this now existential war over a right that defines us as a people, the very indispensable right identified by Justice Louis Brandeis, which is essential for every other right in the Constitution. The irony was crushing. I wrote about how this nation has fought to protect our rights in world wars, yet many in Congress simply shrug or even support the effort as other countries move to make Americans censor other Americans. As other countries move to make Americans censor other Americans, meaning they're trying to push Elon into censoring Americans.
So they're doing it to Facebook too, and Instagram, and
Right, Zuckerberg and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah.
The irony was what was most unnerving about Berlin was how Americans have encouraged Europeans to target their fellow citizens. At the forum was Hillary Clinton, who, after Elon Musk purchased Twitter on a pledge to dismantle its massive censorship system, called upon the EU to use the Digital Services Act to force him to resume censorship. Other Americans have appeared before the EU to call upon it to oppose the U.S. Nina Jankowicz, the singing harpy, the former head of President Joe Biden's infamous Disinformation Governance Board, yes, has recently returned to the EU to rally other nations to oppose what she described as the autocracy of the United States of America. This is what we should do. This is what we should do. You want to know how you stop the Nina Jankowicz of the world? Is if before we actually spend 3 months censoring the left. And have them start screaming to end censorship, and then you're like, you're right, let's end all censorship.
I actually think
Pass it in Congress. We're ending all this censorship.
They're already like Nina Jankowicz and Hillary Clinton, and anybody who goes over there and says you should do this to go, they're violating the Logan Act.
No, that 100%. That 100%. Although if you're dealing with a bunch of nations, I don't know if that it probably is a violation of the Logan Act. And you can charge them on that, but if they're not negotiating with them, they're just giving a public address. I don't know that's a violation of the Logan Act, because it would have to be like negotiations with them on behalf of the United States. So I don't know that would be a violation of the Logan Act. But I do think that prosecuting them is one way to go. But I want to get their support. I want to get the left to support an end to censorship. And the way you do that is start censoring them, start shutting them down, start actually being like, oh, you know what? We're going to have your post taken down, Swalwell. We're going to have your post taken down, Schiff. Oh, you don't like censorship? Oh, okay, maybe we should get rid of censorship then and just abolish it and make sure that this can never, ever happen in America ever again, no matter who's in power. If they get a taste of their own medicine, and I certainly would want it abolished, I wouldn't want them to be censored, throughout the balance of this administration. But I think if you do it for 2 or 3 months, 6 months, after 6 months, they'll notice it and be screaming for an end to censorship. You're like, okay, fine. Pass a law ending censorship. Get the left and the right, same page, boom, knock it out, gone forever. That's the way to do it.
We kind of already have that law. It's called the First Amendment, but
yeah, no, I understand that. But in other words, both like to bolster, and you could call it the bolstering the free speech, protecting free speech, because there seems to be, the reason I'm saying this is there seems to be this amorphous thing, and I'm looking at the chat. I know that Nina has no power. It's not Nina Jankowicz individually. It's not her. I'm talking about like the Swalwells and the other people who are continually screaming for more and more censorship of the dangerous people. So if we label them as dangerous people, label them as people who are promoting hate, people who are promoting violence, people like Maxine Waters going out there saying push back at people, and get in their face, or people who are screaming about various entities encouraging the Mangionis. What's the guy? Is that the guy's name?
Luigi Mangione.
The Louis, yeah, the Mangionis of the world. If we start actually saying that that they are pointing out how they're a menace, how they're encouraging people to that they're dangerous people because they're encouraging would-be assassination folks like Thomas Crooks or Ruth, and that they're dangerous people, and you give justification for why they need to be censored, they'll start screaming out about how this is a violation of the First Amendment, and we need to bolster our First Amendment protections. And boom, walk them into the trap, and then just say, okay, you know what? We need to start passing some statutes which are going to make our lines of censorship a lot clearer and harder to step into.
I agree. The only problem is that the courts would come to the rescue of the left faster than they would to the right. You know what I mean? So they would come.
But I'm saying is once you get them to start screaming, you're basically softening up the meat
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? In other words, you're sort of softening up, and it's a way to fertilize the ground so that the ground is ready for you to plant statutes which will actually end, really protect us from censorship when a Democrat resumes power in the White House. Because you create bright line rules as to like this is considered illegal under the First Amendment, based as bolstered in the statute 18 USC whatever. So this way you're sort of ensuring that Americans are being protected, not just during the Trump administration and when we're holding power, but that when the wheel turns back and we're stuck under the thumb of another D-bag like Biden, that they cannot be contacting Facebook the way they are to censor. If we start using their tactics against them as a way to get them screaming against it, that ultimately is how you can get statutes passed which are actually effective. We're not having governance by fiat of our current president writing an EO that will get ripped up by the next jackass Democrat, but that'll actually become American law that's protected. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Why do you keep saying touch? I don't know what you're trying. Touch not gods. I don't know what are you trying to say? Let me check out what's going on. I need to do a quick check over, and I schedule what for tomorrow morning? Oh, son of a gun. Did I go early? Did I go early on Rumble?
No, you're fine.
I don't know if I scheduled it too early. I'm not sure.
It's running on Rumble. I'm watching it.
All right. I don't know. Is Logan Act Wolverine from X-Men Fighting Traitors? Yes, that's exactly what it is. All the same issues in 2025 as was in 1776. Well said. It's true. It's true. Bella Stella hitting me. With 10 new members of the following. Who'd you bring me? Who'd you bring in? Who'd you bring in here? Let me see. I don't think I missed it. I think I caught it. But now everything's running slow. Where are you?
You want the names?
You got them?
Yes.
Oh, so good. This is why we have Jim here.
Karen Vaughn, Barnabas Collins.
The following 10 people called out by Jim have become new members of the following. And as you hear Jim call out your name, it would be most appropriate as someone who is entering the enlightened world of those who seek greater personal growth, that you start that journey by expressing gratitude to Queen of Recruitment, Bella Stella. And those 10 people include
Karen Vaughn, Barnabas Collins, Goose, Oh Holy Hell, Jude Curios, Stephanie Barrett, Malcolm Mays, Kindness and Grace, Mangy Coyote Media, Joel Hoffman, and that's 10. There you go.
There you go. Welcome to the following. Please bear in mind. Yes, please bear in mind that despite the name, the following is not at all a cult type of cult. And I am not, I stress, I am not at all the leader of the following. I'm just a host. Multiplied by at least 5. What are we multiplying by 5? How member for 6 months? Welcome, member for 6 months. Multiply by at least 5. Yes, we will. Increase, etc. Let me finish this article because I'm liking what he wrote here. So let me finish this article before we move on. So, other Americans like Nina Jankowicz, former head of President Joe Biden's infamous disinformation governance, warned the autocracy United States that to rally other nations to oppose what she described as the autocracy United States of America. A sick woman. She warned the Digital Services Act was under attack and the EU had to fight and beat the U.S. Do not capitulate. Hold the line. Former EU Commissioner for Internal Markets and Services, Thierry Breton, even threatened Musk for interviewing Trump before our last presidential election. He told Musk that he was now being monitored. Oh, we got our eyes on you. And conducting any interview with now President Trump. The EU is doubling down on these efforts, including threatening Musk with prosecution and massive confiscatory confiscatory fines if he does not resume censoring users of X. The penalties are expected to exceed $1 billion. Other countries are following suit. Brazilian Supreme Court Judge Alexandre de Moraes shut down X and his entire country over Musk's refusal to remove political posts. These countries can remotely control speech within the U.S., forcing companies like X to meet the lowest common denominator set by the EU and anti-free speech groups. There are free speech concerns even in such measures designed to protect free speech. This policy should be confined to government officials, particularly EU officials who are actively seeking to export European censorship systems worldwide, including here. It should not extend to academics or individuals who are part of the growing anti-free speech movement. Free speech itself can counter those voices. These are the same voices that we have heard throughout history use often the very same terms and claims to silence others. However, Rubio showed Europe that the U.S. would not simply stand by as European censors determine what Americans could say, read, or watch. F you, EU. That's what he said. F you, EU. That's my news. I need to post. Yes. That's what I need to post on X right now. F you, EU. If you know, you know. All right. I happen to think that's a great phrase. F U EU. FDR put it simply during World War II, no man can tame a tiger into a kitten by stroking it. It's time to get serious about the European threat to free speech, and Rubio is doing just that, finally imposing real consequences for censorship. We are not going to defeat censors by yelling at them. Speech alone clearly does not impress them. Well said, Jonathan Turley. Great story.
Yeah, if we had some kind of law that stated like that any foreign country that tried to sanction or in any way fine a U.S. company or a U.S. person for speech that is legal in the U.S., that we would automatically sanction them like 2 or 3 times whatever their fine was, I think it would probably solve that problem.
If we had, give me one more time.
So we had a law that stated that if a country like, say, the EU or France or Britain or some country was going to fine Elon Musk or a U.S. company or a U.S. person for speech that was legal in the U.S., a First Amendment protected speech, if they were going to try to fine that company, that there would be a reciprocal tariff immediately on that country, a tax, a tariff, duty, I don't know what the proper word is, of 3 times whatever their fine was.
I like it.
That would stop it. I don't know if you could get Democrats on board with that right now. We probably need to give them a little bit of pain.
That's what I'm saying. Give them the pain. Make them feel the hammer of censorship. Make them feel what it's like to be censored in ways that push the boundaries of the Constitution, in ways that they've pushed those boundaries, and then say, you know what, let's just dial it all back forever. But I don't want it to be simply just an EO from Trump. I don't think that's enough. I want to have something that we know we're protected when he's no longer in power. So that's my perspective on that. Little something for Kool-Aid and oh, thank you, Drop Barracuda. It's been a while. I haven't seen you in ages. This guy used to just be dropping the $2 jokes every other minute, but it's good to see you. I hope everything's okay with you, brother. Death Angel Shadow. How do we remember for a year? Oh, for a year we got to give this guy. Give me the bighorn, Death Angels. How do we combat the argument that 1A only stops government, not social media companies, from censorship? Public companies, perhaps. Public digital square. So here's what. Let's think about what they did, right? And I think he's asking a good question here. Let's think about what they did. So they basically were employing triple letter agencies like the FBI and putting them in there to censor folks and potentially and have posts taken down. So if the current administration were to do that to a Harry Sisson, to a Hogg, to various members of Congress, to the New York Times. Get them screaming bloody murder about the censorship. And then you can propose, okay, you're right. We shouldn't be censoring anyone. Let's have statutes that say that the government can never, ever establish an agency like the digital services. They had some digital servicing that was the justification for it. Let's make sure that's defined in a way that cannot be used as a basis to set up a permanent liaison, and that no agency can set up a permanent hotline to these different private agencies, and that doing so is turning them into a government agency. And they become a government agency as soon as they establish these specialized lines of communication. You know, you sort of have to, like, the devil's in the details, and the next administration will try to find loopholes around it. The idea is to try to figure out, if we were them, what loopholes would we try to rely on, and then shut those loopholes. It's always a cat and mouse game, the same way it is between the people who create viruses in Norton's or McAfee, whatever. You know, there's a cat and mouse game as far as how you write a law and how people try to get around that law. But the idea is, you sort of need to sit down and say, what are the 10 primary ways that have been used or 5 primary ways, whatever, that have been used to try and turn these private agencies, these private social media companies, into something that is weaponized, and then go after, and then basically cut those off so that it can't be used anymore. So thank you, Unhyphenated. Much obliged. Look at that from X. I don't know if I've ever gotten a super chat. Oh, that's YouTube. Sorry, it's my bad. I was confused. Let me make sure I didn't miss. I got a couple of rants that came in here.
Yeah, you got two people.
Justin Goodearth gifting 5 new subscriptions to Good Lawgic. 5 new members following In the Ghetto, and Uzelian as well. Look at this, gifting the memberships. I'm going to give you each. This is for you, Uzelian. God bless you, and Justin Goodearth for you as well, my friend. All right. Should we move on to my next story? Is that where I'm up to here?
Sure.
All right. Let's move along. This is one that Jim told me about this story right before, and I was like, oh, we definitely need to talk about this. I definitely want to cover this. All right. So let me.
Yeah, I was able to find a couple more articles about it too. So
as soon as he mentioned this to me, I was like, Yes, we're definitely talking about this. I would have put this in the thumbnail. That's how big this story is to me. And just the first words out of his mouth, I was like, oh man, I could probably make a whole show on this if we had enough sources on it. And that is this. That is this right here. DHS police handcuff a staffer of Representative Jerry Nadler, that's right, Congressman from New York, on Wednesday in the New York Rep's Manhattan office after she allegedly pushed one of the officers. Nadler was accused of harboring rioters in his office. Oh, no! Another staffer's tried ordering the officers around. She found out. That's a classic FAFO. FAFO. Let's check out this video here.
No, she did not. That is not what happened.
That is not what happened.
Okay?
What?
Hold on a second.
Give me your contact information right now.
No, I'm going to give you time to speak to you.
Hey.
That's what I'm going to
Speak to
do.
you after.
We got you.
No.
We got you.
You're
okay.
I don't have to go.
You're okay. You're okay. You're going to be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on
Can't give any
something.
mercy.
We have the right to say. I'm giving you.
She thought it was like her house, Judge, telling him you can't come in without a warrant. He's like, no, this is a federal building. I'm a federal officer. I can come in.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a great point. That's what's going on here.
What?
Hold on a second.
Give me your contact information right
No,
now.
I'm going to give you time to speak to you.
Hey.
That's what I'm
I'll
going to
speak
do.
to you after.
We got you. We
No.
got you.
You're
okay.
I don't have to go.
You're okay. You're okay. You're going to be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on something. We have the right to say. I'm
Can I
giving
see a
you.
warrant?
I'm not resisting. Stop resisting. You harboring rioters in the office. So there's not a problem. Let's walk inside. Let's walk through.
For what?
Let me see what's in here. Let's go. Come on. Hold it there.
Oh,
Serious? She did not. That is not.
oh my. Oh my. We need more on this story. We need more on this story. We need a lot more on this story. Oh, for sure. Tell me more. What is this? I don't need that. New York Representative Jerry Nadler says DHS agent handcuffed his staff member at congressional office. Yeah, I wonder why. Wonder why, buddy boy. New York Representative Jerry Nadler says member of his staff was handcuffed by a Department of Homeland Security agent at his congressional office Wednesday. The incident was caught on video. And according to a DHS spokesperson, Federal Protective Service officers were responding to reports that protesters were inside Nadler's district office in Manhattan. Quote, upon arrival, officers were granted entry and encountered 4 individuals. Officers identified themselves and explained, oh gosh, this stupid pop-up ads, and explained their intent to conduct a security check. However, one individual became verbally confrontational and physically blocked access to the office. The officers then detained the individual in the hallway for the purpose of completing a security check. All were released without further incident, DHS said in a statement. In a statement released Saturday, Nadler said DHS agents forcefully entered his office and handcuffed a member of his staff. Quote, the decision to enter a congressional office and detain a staff member demonstrates a deeply troubling disregard for proper legal boundaries. Really? What's the legal violation here, Jerry? Tell us what that is. If this can happen in a member of Congress's office, it can happen to anyone, and it's happening, Nadler said in part. In the statement, Nadler accuses Trump and the DHS of sowing chaos in our communities using intimidation tactics. You mean like Antifa, which you said doesn't exist? Like that sort of thing? Sowing chaos? Jackass.
This DHS is just an idea.
Yes. DHS is just an idea. That's all it is. It's just an idea. Sowing chaos in our communities using intimidation tactics against both citizens and non-citizens. Wait, non-citizens? Who cares about the non-citizens? Why are we worrying about the non-citizens? I don't understand. In a reckless and dangerous manner, and calls on both the president and the agency to stop using what he calls dangerous tactics. Now let's say no arrests were made and the situation was quickly de-escalated. By whom? Oh, by Trump's DHS. That's by whom? That's by whom? He is the penguin. I'm convinced of that. He is the penguin. Wow. And finally, we have the New York Post here. Oh my gosh, more ads.
What is with the pop-ups? Jeez.
I don't rightly know. Democrat Representative Jerry Nadler's aide detained by DHS agents. This was published at 11 p.m. yesterday. Look at this. It's hot off the press from it's less than 2 hours old. Longtime Democrat Representative Gerald Nadler slammed President Trump in for sowing chaos nationwide after federal agents handcuffed one of his aides inside the Lower Manhattan office. Lawmakers' verbal tirade came after the Department of Homeland Security officers entered the Big Apple office Wednesday, accused the staff of harboring rioters who are non-citizen rioters who should be deported like yesterday and hopefully work because they were arrested. This happened on Wednesday. In dramatic confrontation caught on video, President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security are sowing chaos. We heard this. If this can happen, we heard this. The video obtained by Gothamists showed one agent aggressively restraining a teary-eyed female staffer while another employee asked for a warrant and blocked a second officer from entering a private section in the congressional office located in the same Varick Street building as federal immigration court. So this is the same 40-second video. Yeah, that's the same video we just saw.
So they must have been messing with there must have been protesters screwing around with the immigration court, and they went to go hide in Nadler's office.
Yes, that's almost certainly what happened here. I'm a federal officer. We're checking on something. Male agent said to the employee standing in his way. We have the right to check. You're harboring rioters in this office, he argued in a heated back and forth that ended with a staffer granting him access to the back office. Nadler said that the deeply troubling incident. What's deeply troubling is that you're harboring rioters. That's what's deeply troubling, not that they're being caught. This is like when they say there's a constitutional crisis when it's then that's creating the crisis. there's a constitutional crisis. This is deeply troubling. You're doing something illegal, and DHS try to stop you from doing something illegal. Well, that's very troubling. You try to stop us from doing something illegal. Federal Protective Service officers went to the congressman's office to conduct a security check after receiving reports that protesters were hiding inside. DHS told the Post in a statement, quote, based on earlier incidents in a nearby facility, FPS officers were concerned about the safety of the federal employees in the office and went to location to ensure the safety and well-being of those present, Homeland Security officials said.
So for once, it's all for your safety was used against them.
Is that beautiful? It's for the greater good. It's for the greater good. When they arrived, one individual, the woman who was briefly detained, was verbally confrontational and physically blocking access to the office, and the officers identified themselves and explained why they were there. The officers then detained the individual in the hallway for purposes of completing the security check, DHS said. Aid was released after the fiery standoff, which reportedly erupted when a Nadler staffer invited two advocates monitoring ICE activity at the courthouse into the office. Nadler charged the Trump administration is embracing totalitarian and authoritarian tactics. Go to hell. Trump administration trying to intimidate to Congress from what? Breaking the law?
They admitted it right there. They invited them into the office.
Yeah, they brought them. They're behaving like fascists who are trying to actually catch criminals. We have to fight them. We don't want to be a fascist country. Yeah, where were you? Where were you when we actually were experiencing an administration that was trying to act fascistically? White House did not immediately respond. Well, so there you go. There you go. I thought that was an interesting story that we definitely needed to know more about. Is DHS this conch you can take control of and speak orders out of or something evil? Yeah, it's just a concept. That's all it is. It's just a concept. Schumer is a shanda, but Nadler is an embarrassment. There you go. Foreign and domestic. Yes, all threats, fighting all threats, foreign and domestic. There, drop Barracuda, dropping it on us. All right. Let's go on to our third story. Let's see what you got. What do you have here for me next? Our third story: Department of Energy cancels $3.7 billion. That's a nice chunk of change. This is from Zero Hedge here by Tyler Durden. Tyler Durden is a pseudonym of the individual who created Zero Hedge, and he breaks these stories and is a pretty good follow, which is why he has over 1 million followers on X. Yeah. The Department of Energy has canceled 24 clean energy demonstration projects worth nearly $3.7 billion, citing concerns over financial viability, insufficient return on taxpayer investment, and a failure to meet the energy needs of Americans. Nice.
I wonder if Stacey Abrams' grant was part of this or if this was different.
How many billions did she get?
I think she got $1 billion or close to $1 billion.
Energy Secretary Chris Wright announced the decision on May 3rd, describing the awards as hastily approved in the final days of the Biden administration. This is what Lee Zeldin was talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is different because he's the EPA, so he canceled a bunch. But these were the Department of Energy. This was the stuff that Granholm did, the chick from Michigan. They saying she shoveled out like $70 billion in those last few days of the administration, and a bunch of it went to Michigan. People should it should be investigated.
Why is Michigan uniquely special?
Because she's from Michigan. She was the governor of Michigan at one point. And so all the money that went, she was paying off her own people is what it looks like to me, just the layperson.
Who is that?
Jennifer Granholm is her name.
I was unfamiliar with her. I only started following Michigan politics after Gretchen came in there.
No, she was before Gretchen.
Mm-hmm. Energy Secretary Chris Wright announced the decision on May 3rd, describing the awards as hastily approved in the final days of the Biden administration and misaligned with the Trump administration's energy and economic priorities. Cancellations come after an internal review ordered earlier this month under a new departmental policy aimed at increasing accountability and rooting out waste in federally funded energy programs. Quote, the Trump administration is doing our due diligence to ensure we are utilizing taxpayer dollars to strengthen our national security, bolster affordable, reliable energy sources, and advance projects that generate the highest possible return on investment. Wright said, today we're acting in the best interest of American people by canceling these 24 aways. Get rid of the waste. According to department lists reviewed by the Epoch Times, the terminated awards include a high-dollar carbon capture and industrial decarbonization projects involving firms such as ExxonMobil, Calpine, Heidelberg Materials, and Kraft Heinz. 16 of the 24 awards were signed between Election Day 2024 and Inauguration Day, when Biden was a lame duck. 16 of the 24 awards. The rescinded projects span a range of industries and regions, including glass manufacturing facilities in Ohio, carbon capture efforts in Texas and California, and decarbonization initiatives at food production sites nationwide. The largest award canceled was a $500 million grant to Heidelberg Materials for a carbon capture project in Louisiana. The move follows a May 15th memorandum issued by Wright titled Ensuring Responsibility for Financial Assistance, which established new standards for evaluating financial assistance programs. Under the policy, the DOE is now requiring detailed financial, technical, and legal documentation from all recipients and reserving the right to modify or terminate awards that fail to meet economic or national interest benchmarks. And a November 2024 report from the DOE's Office of Inspector General warned that the Loan Programs Office, which saw its authority balloon from $17 billion to more than $400 billion under the Inflation Reduction Act, $17 billion to $400 billion. $17 billion to over $400 billion. Wow. So we basically are increasing it like 30-fold.
Yeah.
And other legislation was under pressure to rapidly distribute funds before key deadlines expired. The report highlighted significant risks to taxpayers from rushed decision-making and insufficient vetting, particularly given the volume and complexity of applications. I told you this. The Inflation Reduction Act is basic. Whenever you see something the Democrats pass, which has a title, which always is going to sound nice and wow, that sounds, assume it means the exact opposite of what the title is. It's like Inflation Flourishing and Further Inflation Act. That's what that is, because when you waste money, you basically, that is exactly what causes that a devaluation of the dollar and makes prices go up. So when they call Inflation Reduction Act, it's the Inflation Balloon Act. Unbelievable. In two cases, the Inspector General said DOE had already canceled nearly $400 million in grants awards and entities with suspected ties to foreign adversaries. So enough with the sending our money abroad to whomever. The watchdog urged the department to expand its applicant vetting capabilities and avoid what's described as a pay and chase model where funds are dispersed before due diligence is complete. President Donald Trump has issued multiple executive orders aimed at boosting fossil fuel production and limiting public funding for climate initiatives or ones involving DEI mandates. The administration has also directed federal agencies to review all discretionary grants issued under the Biden administration with a focus on clawing back funds where possible. In the case of the DOE, Wright said his department has already requested further documentation from 179 award recipients whose combined funding total more than $15 billion. Is $400 billion. Now, maybe we haven't dispersed the entire $400 billion, so and maybe it's only like relatively small portion of the. Hopefully, you would think that, because I know the Inflation Reduction Act was supposed to be over several years, so you would think that the vast majority of the funds have not yet been distributed. So, because when I see 15 billion, and I think 15 billion is such a tiny percentage of 400 billion, you're talking about like less than 5% of the amount of money that could have gone out. It sounds like a nice start, but it doesn't sound like you're really stopping the real problem. But then I think to myself, the $400 billion probably is meant to be spent like over 10 years. So maybe.
How is that constitutional though? Because aren't the spending bills supposed to be limited to the spending during that Congress?
No, they do. That's not an uncommon thing, though. I can't explain to you. You're asking a good question that I can't give you the technical answer to, other than to tell you historically there have been many acts that Congress has passed which go well beyond the period of time for whatever current fiscal term we're in, and we probably want such acts to be plausible in case it's something. Any agency they set up, think about it, is going to be lasting for years and years. So you sort of have to find that in your budget, right? That's everything that we do it's set up on a long-term basis. They find a way. It's never considered a problem. You're asking an interesting question. I'm just saying.
It seems like that's how they're able to make it so that we can never actually cut any spending, because they're always
building it into the system.
Building it in for years and years in advance. It's like, oh, well, this is already, it's like they're just constantly adding more and more and more and more and more. It's never like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I think that they, yeah. So I think that it's obviously not considered unconstitutional just because.
Right.
No, you're asking an interesting question. So these reviews are ongoing, could result in further cancellations, and we should pray that they do. Pentecost commemorates the arrival of the Holy Spirit on earth. I never really. I always thought that Shavuos was called Pentecost. I could be mistaken, but I thought that's what it was. Let me do a quick check over here in the ghetto. Make sure I'm not missing stuff happening there, because the ghetto deserves my attention. All right, we're good. We're good there. We're good in the ghetto. And let me check over in locals. No one even knew I opened locals. So there you go. Locals is all quiet. Locals. Oh, my diggers, my poor diggers. All right, let's move on. Moving on to the next story here. Okay. So we're talking about cleaning up waste. This is a nice segue. See, this is smart thinking on your part here. I like where you're going here. All right. Well done. I see what you did, and that's how I would have structured it too. Moving from one waste story into the next. This ties in to the king of eliminating waste, and that is Elon Musk. Our friend Elon Musk. This is the other New York Times reporter who's openly lying about Elon Musk. Elon needs to sue the F out of these people. Let's check out this video here.
That New York Times? Let's move on.
Okay, here's what really happened relative to that. In 2022, Donald Trump sued the Pulitzer Prize Board for defamation based on the board's defense of its award to the New York Times for coverage of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. A state court ruled this week the lawsuit can proceed. All right, so there's that. Joining me now, we have Kirsten Grine, one of two New York Times investigative reporters who broke the Musk story. Kirsten, welcome to you. Look, Musk has previously discussed his mental health and use of various drugs. He's done interviews also on his X platform. What did you find out that was not known before?
So when Elon Musk has been pressed in the past, he has said that he does a small amount of ketamine every couple weeks, roughly, and that he has a prescription from a doctor. What my co-author, Megan Toohey, and I have found here is a significant ratcheting up of that as he rose to political power last year alongside Trump, he was actually doing much more intense ketamine, so much so that some points he was complaining to people about bladder issues, which is typically a side effect of chronic use. And on top of that, he was also mixing it with what appears to be prescription drugs. We saw a pill box with pills that have markings of Adderall. And
what is your source? Give us your source, woman.
other psychedelics like magic mushrooms. So all in all, we found that his drug use was actually much more significant than he has even said.
He has even. They're so pathetic. So pathetic.
Okay, so Kirsten, according to your reporting, tell me what is going on in Musk's life.
Unbelievable. According to reporting. What's your source? Give us a source. Give us
She
a
never
source.
actually says what he just said. It's increased. It's more. He's doing more. And then she said he's mixing. Well, he has a prescription for the ketamine.
Yeah.
And then he has a prescription for Adderall.
Right. They're trying to pay him like he's Diddy or something.
But so he's doing drugs that he has a prescription for. So a doctor prescribed it.
So desperate to try and bring him down. So desperate to try and bring him down. Let's check out this other story along the same lines here. New York Times journalist Tui claims anonymous sources, always anonymous. Oh my God, they're always anonymous sources reported Elon Musk's rampant drug use. This is the same outlet that shamelessly spread the Russiagate collusion hoax. She notes reporters could penetrate Elon's circle. So then such reporting should be considered embellished or false until proven. 100%. 100%.
I think I figured it out, Joe.
If you can't, what did you figure out?
They're going to claim that Elon built a time machine and he traveled back in time to plant the cocaine that they found under Biden.
Before we get into this one, 15 billion is $1 bills would be 1.5 times ISS orbit. Oh, he's saying if you stack them, 15 $1 bills, that's how much 15 billion is. Yeah, I've talked about this before. You've heard me talk about what $1 billion is and appreciating what it is. It's important when we're talking about all the billions of dollars that are saved for people to just appreciate the magnitude of this money. Okay, because and the way you can better understand it, because whenever you're talking about numbers that end in illion, it's so far beyond the comprehension of most of us to really appreciate that it's important to sort of step back. And the healthiest way I have to conceptualize it for myself, and other people say that it's a really great way of thinking about it, is that 1 million seconds. Do you know how long 1 million seconds is, Jim?
11 days.
It is 11. 1 million seconds is 11 days. That's how long 1 million seconds is. So 1 million seconds ago, I was watching Kid Cudi testify. You know, 1 billion seconds is 30 years. 30 years. I mean, I was single. I am now a grandpa. God bless, 5 times over. I was I had never met Lady Lawgic 1 billion seconds. I don't know her 1 billion seconds. That's how long 1 billion is. In 1 billion seconds, I've gotten married, had 6 kids and 5 grandkids, and as opposed to 1 million seconds, which is when I was watching Kid Cudi testify. So you can relate that back in your own timeline. Some of you may be under 30. That's the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. 1 trillion is 30,000 years. I mean, that's what 1 trillion is. 30,000 years. It's these numbers are, so when you're talking about $500 billion or nearly that in 400 billion, I mean, it's just such an astonishing number. It's so far before Jesus or Caesar or Moses or Adam. I mean, it's so far back, 1 trillion seconds. That gives you conceptually the type of vast numbers we're talking about. We're talking about numbers that kings never had. Like levels of, like, just ridiculous amounts of wealth. So that's just being frittered away. And I think it's important for us to keep that in mind at all times when we're talking about this. Capture CO2 with more farms and forests and not with Chinese-made toxic solar death panels. Well, he wants to talk about the toxic solar death panels. I'm not sure we're going to get to that or not. I know he has it on the list here about the Chinese solar panels, but I'm not sure if we're going to get there.
I'm like way down the list.
I was sort of like, I don't know if I care that much about this story. Master Phillips, how are you? This is the king of recruitment. Remember, no inflation? Then they passed the Inflation Reduction Act. You don't hate them as much as you should. It's true. I do, but you don't. So, also, hi, Jim. You're a wonderful addition to the show. There you go. Horse tranks make you rich? What? Oh, yeah. Apparently, horse tranquilizers for if you Elon make him rich. Julio Scissors, thank you so much for the $10 tip. Much obliged to you. Thank you. A million minutes ago, you explained the exact same thing. Not a million minutes ago, a million seconds ago. It probably not a million minutes. That would be like 60 times. I don't think I came up with it a million minutes ago. But anyhow, moving on more to more of the media trying to smear Elon. We have this here. New York journalist Chewy claims anonymous sources reported Elon Musk's rampant drug use. This is the same outlet shamelessly spread the Russiagate hoax. She notes reporters couldn't penetrate Elon's circle. Such reporting should be considered embellished and false until proven. And the point here is, if you can't get into his inner circle, you don't have a source. How do you know any of this stuff? How do you know? Like, what is your source? So it's just like someone saw that in the background when he's standing on a video or something, like there's a pill bottle over there. They got the little binoculars. Oh, I think that's ketamine. Oh, I think it's Adderall. It looks like it's been prescribed for him.
Declined to comment on Musk's drug use. Joining our coverage is investigative reporter for the New York Times, Megan Twohey. Her byline is on that reporting we read from. Say more.
Yeah. Well, listen, there has.
Look how happy
you're right. There has.
This idiot looks. I never remember her name, and I'm hoping to go through life without ever actually knowing her name, having that in my brain. But this airheaded, twisted individual from MSNBC, who, is just is sickening. Can I share with you something, by the way? Can I share with you? Because, speaking of MSNBC, they're related to NBC, right? And I don't know how they're related, but they are related to NBC, right?
There was originally it was a partnership between Microsoft and NBC. So it was MSNBC, Microsoft, NBC. But now it's strictly owned by NBC or Comcast, if I'm not mistaken. I think Microsoft stepped away from it.
All right. So we'll come back to my story in a minute. Let's hear her report, and then I'll share with you my meeting a reporter from NBC at the trial.
Has been some coverage of Elon Musk's drug use in the past. He himself has acknowledged that he used ketamine, as he said, it was with a prescription and only every couple weeks to help with depression. But what we found is that the drug use was much more frequently than previously known. And it wasn't just the volume, it was that these drugs appeared to be mixed. So from the ketamine use that at times has been.
So you don't have a source, but you know better than his doctors what he needs. You know best. You know best.
Near daily, and got to the point where it was causing bladder issues as he was joining Trump on the campaign trail, to the use of ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms, as well as this pill box that contained, as many as 20 pills, including one with the marking of Adderall. So there were some people close to him. It's been really hard for reporters to penetrate the sort of circle of people who know him. But in recent months, people had started to talk to me and my colleague, Kirsten Grind, because there have been people close to him who have had concerns about his drug use.
This is going to sound like a dumb question, but what is ketamine and how do you
every question from you is a dumb question, but yeah,
take it? And
I'll tell you that from covering the trial, which I have, whoever you know that you think has the least familiarity with drugs in your life probably knows 10 times what I know about drugs. I know really nothing about drugs other than the names of some of these drugs. But even I know that ketamine, and I learned this during the course of the trial, ketamine makes you feel very dissociative from what you're experiencing. I learned that from Cassie Fine, nay Ventura.
What would a
So she's not going to get into that. We're not going to get that part of the clip. So yeah, they are coming very hard, very, very hard after Musk, and we need to talk about why are they coming after him so hard now? Why are they coming after him so hard? I'm going to cover that in just a moment. MSNBC low-key peddling drugs are I guess so. I guess that's what the agenda is. Should I tell you about There are two incidents that happened while I was been covering this trial of me meeting people, which were unusual. One was when I had a U.S. Marshal who started questioning me, and another was with NBC. So you want to hear both those stories?
Definitely.
Okay, so the NBC one. So I saw a couple during breaks. So it's all journalists that I'm sitting with in his viewing room from every outlet imaginable, right? Inside Edition, NBC, NPR, USA Today. I know the reporters. I see them every day. I'm sitting next to them. I was sitting next to Gene Deal, who I didn't even realize is like a big deal, apparently, but he is with respect to the Diddy thing. He's a former bodyguard or security guy. So all these people are sitting watching the trial and I'm sitting and I get to know them along with other independent folks. So you get a lot of these, different people. This Tisa Tells, who I've met at the trial, and she's been very cool. And in fact, she was talking about like streaming with me, tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're sort of like horses. Anyhow, so the NBC. So I see these two people talking, and they were speculating about a witness and the nature. I think it was the current witness, Mia, and when we were talking about her testimony and how to approach it and the nature of these charges. And I'm doing whatever I can to try and wake these folks up to how twisted these charges are. So I started talking to this woman who was very nice. Her name was Chloe. I don't know her last name. She looks like someone who's probably a reporter who goes after she takes down her notes, that she goes outside and issues a report. And some people who watch NBC much more regularly than I do, which would be 5 minutes a year, they may know what her last name. I never bothered to get her last name. She just introduced herself as Chloe. So she and I and this other guy were talking about the charges, and I was trying to point out how twisted some of these charges are and how it's a real bastardization of what the objective of these statutes are. Because he's charged with 2 counts of 18 USC 1591, which is sex trafficking. So that's for the way he treated Cassie and the way he treated this woman Jane, who we haven't heard from yet. And the objective there is they basically saw people were taking runaways and forcing them and saying, you know what, these runaways have value if I can force them to engage in sexual encounters with strangers and charge those strangers. People would pay money for that. So I'm going to force them to do that and make money that way. It's obviously horrific, terrible, awful. These people are total slime. Someone who would think of even doing such a thing, much less actually do it. So you're destroying this person and you're milking the value that this person has. So when Congress tried passing the statute of 18 U.S.C. 1591, they said the 2 elements are this: you're forcing someone into commercial sex. And those are the 2 elements of the crime. You're forcing, compelling them against their will to engage in commercial sex. Well, our inventive U.S. attorneys under the Biden administration, when they charged Diddy, they're like, well, he's forcing Cassie and he's paying money. So once he pays the money, now it's commercial sex. You have the 2 elements. And now we can take those 2 elements and bake this pie and call it a violation of 18 U.S.C. 1591. But here's the thing. And I've been making this point over and over again. From Diddy's perspective, the money is not at all the key thing. For the folks who are trying to stop under 18 U.S.C. 1591, the entire motivation for the action is the money. I want to take this person's perceived value and milk it for myself against their will, and milk it for myself and take the money. So I'm using them to make money, and I'm acting horrifically to this person, destroying their life so that I can get money. That's the crime. That's the person we're trying to punish. Over here, Diddy has zero interest in money. Quite the contrary. Contrast, he burnt millions of dollars to feed his own twisted fetish. And he's a sick individual. But this is not at all the commercial parts to this sex, which is everything as to why the perpetrator of 18 U.S.C. 1591 is supposed to be acting, has the commercial part of the sex in the Diddy scenario has nothing to do with it. Because in theory, who's the victim? The victim is the person being forced. That's the real victim. And over here, the person being forced is not the one who's generating commerciality here. It's that we're paying to have her forced. I'm paying money to have her forced. That's nothing at all like what that statute is supposed to be stopping. It has nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. And that's what, and if he could have convinced them, if Diddy could have convinced these folks to actually engage in the encounter for free, he would have been totally happy with that. Right? I mean, if instead of paying them $6,000, they'd be like, oh, wow, she's a pretty girl. I'd do that for free. So in that case, he would have been fine with it. And now it wouldn't have been a crime because it's not commercial. So that's why I was like, this is such a twisted way of taking this statute, which is not designed to apply here, and trying to find a way that how can I catch him and throw him in prison? Now, he's a terrible human being. He's a monster. And what he did to, you might want to say that Congress should write a statute stopping this type of conduct. And if you did, I could definitely see that. But I don't like the idea that we're going to empower the prosecutors to basically say, let me plug in different elements and try and bake a brand new pie of a new law that we're now saying, even though this is nothing to do with what the purpose of the statute is. To me, I think that that's a total abuse of power, and it's awful. And I was trying to explain this to Chloe, and she actually got it. She's not stupid. She actually got it. And she was like, yeah, no, you're right. It's not, she's like, but he's so terrible. I was like, I understand that. And I agree with you. He's terrible. He's a terrible human being. But do you not realize how bad it is to give prosecutors this kind of power? She's like, well, it's they're looking out for the greater good. And I'm like, no, you can't just act under that. They're well, she's like, well, he's a terrible person. And I'm like, yeah. I said, what about the other crimes that he's committed? Why are we not hearing about that? And she's like, well, how do you know that they have enough evidence to support that? And she's like, people love to say that, but it's not there. I said, how do you know it's not there? I said, what are all those tapes there? So what are all those tapes that they collected from him? Hundreds, thousands of tapes that they had, that videos that they have that he's he's amassed. Wasn't that for blackmailing people? But they don't want to involve these celebrities and these other folks who are politically connected. So she's like, those tapes might show, they're not showing children. She's like, that's an online conspiracy that it's showing children there. It's not there. I said, how do you know that? She's like, I have a lot of sources who work within the DOJ and telling you, a lot of people want to think it's there, and there's an online conspiracy believing that it's there. So I was like, I don't know how you can feel confident that you actually know that when there's no way. This is the conversation. And I said, who do you work for? And she said, NBC. I was like, oh. Now I get it. Now I get it. Now I get it. Yeah, so that was my encounter with the NBC reporter. The U.S. Marshals much shorter.
Could they argue? Could Diddy argue that he didn't pay for the sex? He was just paying him for travel or for some other thing. It wasn't.
That is
for the
part
sex.
of like what they're trying to say with respect to the last charges for transport. It's not gonna. When they've had 15 visits from the same guy, and every time he's giving him $6,000. He's paying him for it. In fact, one of them actually got paid $500 and was sent home without doing anything. They said, it's not a good time. So we're going to, so they gave him $500. So, and the defense tried actually asking on them saying, you got paid, right? It's because you're getting paid for your time. Isn't that true? And on redirect, the guy, this escort was asked, so you got $500 that time. And how much did you get paid when you when you actually perform. It's like, oh, $6,000. Oh, so that was a cancellation fee. Yeah. Okay, so you can say 500 of it is for the appearance, but it's actually for the work he's performing. That's clearly what he's getting paid for.
So they don't believe that there was any shenanigans with Justin Bieber or Usher or any of these people that Diddy was involved with. They were underage.
I think that's NBC doesn't believe that. I'll tell you this much. I personally, my personal belief is I think that there was a lot of children involved here. I don't think like 5-year-olds. I don't think 5-year-olds. I don't think it's that kind of level of
probably
dementia.
like 13, 14, 15,
that's what I mean.
16,
yeah. I think a lot of underage folks who were basically pushed into doing things that they certainly would not have done through the use of drugs, power, influence, and this is what Diddy wants, and they want to try and appease Diddy because of his significant reach and influence over the industry. So, the U.S. Marshals story is pretty quick. So I finished doing a report, like one of my reports, and as soon as I stopped it, this guy comes over to me, introduces himself as Dave. He said, "Hey, can I ask you a couple questions?" So I said, "Sure." He said, "I'm a U.S. Marshal, and you said on your show that you have video of Kid Cudi testifying." So I said, "I never said that. No, I don't have video of Kid Cudi testifying. No one has that." It's like, "Oh, okay." So I said, "What I was saying is that I have transcripts, and I plan on using AI to get his voice and create and upload videos so it will sound to the audience like Kid Cudi, but it's not Kid. No one has that." It's like, "Oh, okay, that's perfectly legal. That's fine." But I was like shaking. He was very polite. The guy was the nicest guy on earth. This guy, Dave, really nice.
Wait, so they're watching your show?
Yes. I was like, the freaking U.S. Marshals are watching my show. I don't know if they're watching this. I don't know when they're watching. Watching live, watching afterwards. I was like, wait, just a second here.
Just want to say I backed the blue.
I'm like, all right. You know, I don't know, and maybe Chloe will watch this show. I haven't said anything bad about her. I'm just saying, like, there's a mentality of trust that they have, that the left has. That it's, if you think that they're all in cahoots with each other, you're not really understanding the landscape of what we're dealing with. It's that they trust people who are very evil people. Like, I don't think this person Chloe is a bad person at all. She's probably not a bad reporter. I don't know. I've never seen her. I don't know what about. I'm simply saying they close their eyes and just assume that their sources are as trustworthy and well-meaning and so blind to how frequently they're lied to. And that's what I think. I think it's a willful blindness because it's a much easier reality to accept. So, but I was very shaken to see that U.S. Marshals, I don't know if they're they should be. The U.S. Marshals should become diggers.
Well, they better have liked and subscribed. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, they damn well. That's what she has to. He said he got sent a clip of my video of my thing and saying, "Hey, take a look at this." And he said, "I've seen that guy down at the courthouse. I'll go talk to him." And I said, and that's what he told me. And I said, I appreciate that. I appreciate that instead of starting a whole investigation, you just came over and talked to me so I can clear this up with you. That there's, he's like, yeah, what you're describing is perfectly legal. I said, I don't know anyone who's got that. I don't know how anyone would have video of it. I certainly don't have video. So, and I don't, and I do, and I am planning on putting that video out tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow. I'm hoping to get that AI where you can it'll sound like what we all heard of Kid Cudi testifying, which I think is pretty cool. He's actually got a good story to tell. It's only going to be audio of it. I can't do the AI video. That's going to take me forever to try to figure out. Maybe I'll be able to enhance it down the road, but I'm going to create this AI video audio of it, and I'm going to basically say, not for reproduction, because I don't want someone to take my AI work and start turning that into. Someone's going to try and one-up me and turn it into a video, and that would take me off or something like that. So I plan on releasing that tomorrow. At some point tomorrow, if you want to hear Kid Cudi testify, word for word based on the transcript, you'll be able to get that right here on Good Lawgic. That's going to be tomorrow. Hopefully.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Let me just get to some of these chats here before we move on. Joe does the teaser live. She has a huge do the teaser live. She has a huge following. I spent not only does she have a huge following, I spent 10 minutes talking to her on one of her live streams and got like 1,000 followers that day. Every other day I've been getting like 300. That day I got 1,000. I couldn't even believe it. She has a very loyal following, and I see the appeal. I see the base, and I understand the appeal because she's very high energy, and she's like very excited when I give it. I'm trying to break down like, and then they said this and this, and then this is what's happening in the courtroom. She's like, guys, you're not gonna believe what just happened in court. It's like this. It's like a whole different thing, which I get it. I'm like, I understand why it is. I understand the appeal. So, anyhow, what are we testing? Oh, you found a YouTube XP gaming system. Cool. All right. I'm a U.S. Marshal, Jason. I approve Joe. Thank you. AKA Good Logic, Good Logicians, and non-adjacent cult members. Thank you so much. I'm going to use your testimony. Member for 4 months, Granola Grin. See? There you go. There you go. So we were talking about how the media is now going after Elon Musk, trying to get Elon. That's definitely a thing that's happening. Hold on, give me one more second here. Spud says, Joe, I proposed on Jim's channel that he should host the Diggers Convention this winter in Southwest Florida with you, Viva, and Robert Gouveia watching the Watchers Gang in attendance.
That would be fantastic.
Where in Florida do you live?
Fort Myers.
How far?
Viva's in Boca.
I don't know relationship of space, time and space.
You know where Naples is? No. You know where? Well, basically, I live about an hour from Miami or Boca.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm on the opposite. I'm on the Gulf Coast.
So you're pretty deep into the. You're pretty deep into the tip there.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah. Just the tip, but.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. Okay. So you're talking about doing it this summer?
I'm not talking about anything. I don't have to. These guys are bringing it, saying it in the chat. I'm like, I don't. I'd love to hang out with Viva, but I hear he's very short.
Yeah. I've heard he's short also. I haven't met him yet, but I've heard. I assume that he's a short guy. That's what I would assume.
Like 5'6" or something.
Yeah. Uzelian says if stacked in $1 bills, the U.S. national debt would reach about 2.38 million miles high. That's 10 times the distance to the moon. Oh my God. Stacked. Like single 2.38 million miles. Wow. That's crazy. Wow. It's very scary. It's very scary how bad the debt is. It really is. It's really scary. All right. So we were talking about Elon Musk, and I was explaining, I said, we're going to talk about why it is that they're coming after Musk right now. So let's get into this, and Jim's going to basically tell me which number story is like the most pressing one that I have to cover after this one, because I don't know how many more stories I'm going to have time for after this, because I got to get sleep soon. Okay.
These other stories should go fast, actually.
All right. So, but this one's going to take a while as we're looking at what happened with Musk today. What happened in the Oval Office today will rewrite everything you know about DOGE. The media thinks they covered Elon Musk's farewell. They have no idea what they actually witnessed. Trump exposes presidential scandal that reveals who's actually been governing America. Here we go. President Trump opened with a constitutional revelation the media ignored. Quote, I understand he signed almost everything with an auto pen. It really means you're not president. Whoever operated the auto pen is actually more than one person. Let's just listen to this.
To me, are used to sound. Well, it's very hard because I'd read your newspapers or your media the next day and I'd say, well, I didn't approve that, and I would find it. I mean, they wouldn't get away with it for long because I'd say, I never signed that. Who the hell signed that? Auto pens to me, are used to sign letters to people, because we get, I think they said 20,000 letters a week. And you like to be able, when somebody takes the time to write a letter, it's nice to sort of write back. And auto pens are meant for that. Auto pens are not meant to sign major proclamations or tax cuts or borders, anything having to do with the border, which is so important. And if it happened on my watch, I would be able to see it, because the next day or sooner, I'd be reading about something that I knew nothing about, and who the hell signed this? So I almost never use the auto pen. In fact, yesterday I was signing about 81, I think it was 81 proclamations and statements to people that I think should be signed by us. I think when you write letters to foreign dignitaries or presidents or prime ministers, you should be signing those letters, not done with auto pens. I understand he signed almost everything with an auto pen. It's a very dangerous thing. It really means you're not president. Whoever operated the auto pen, and we think we know who that is, and it was actually more than one person, but that's not what the presidency is all about.
Wow. Okay. If unelected staffers operated auto pens for executive orders and major proclamations, those documents lack constitutional authority. That I'm not sure I agree with. As long as it has his approval, it would be okay. This reveals systematic delegation of executive power to bureaucratic staff, but this wasn't the most important revelation. Yeah, so Carl Meta, in case you don't know who he is 3 times exited founder, CEO of TechCause, chairman emeritus Quinn Quad. I don't know who he is. Author of 2 books, former White House fellow, all tweets are personal. Okay. Quote. So let's move on to the let's get to what he calls the most important revelation and see what we got here. I didn't even read this yet.
Many of the DOGE people, Elon, are staying behind too, so they're not leaving.
Oh,
and Elon's
nice.
really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth.
Good.
I think. I have a feeling it's his baby, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of things. But Elon's service to America has been without comparison in modern history. He's already running one of the most innovative car companies in the world. You look at his factories and compare them with some of the old factories we have, and it's a big difference. And the most successful space company, and I guess in history, you would have to say the largest free speech platform on the internet, etc. Yet Elon willingly, with all of the success, he willingly accepted the outrageous abuse and slander and lies and attacks, because he does love our country. I know that very much. He loves our country. He comes from another country that's going through trials and tribulations, I would say. But he's all about the USA, and Americans owe him a great debt of gratitude. So I just want to thank Elon for his time as special government employee. Can you imagine? They called him an employee, but it's a special government employee, and for coming and helping us. And he really has changed the mindset of a lot of people.
Wow. Okay. So he's coming back and forth. That's good. That's good. Because we need a lot more of his work here. Must confirm the strategy. This is not the end of DOGE, but really the beginning. He'll continue as a friend. I don't know what that means, the beginning. I mean, I'd be very concerned about DOGE not working diligently or being shut down.
That this is not the end of DOGE, but really the beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end. It was a limited time thing. It's 134 days, I believe, which ends in a few days. So, so that it comes with a time limit. But the DOGE team will only grow stronger over time. The DOGE influence will only grow stronger. It's I liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government. And I'm confident that over time we will see $1 trillion of savings and a reduction in $1 trillion of waste and fraud reduction. The calculations of the DOGE team thus far, in terms of an FY25 to FY20.
Hey, White Rose, I appreciate your enthusiasm, genuinely. If you could, and you're free, and I encourage you to continue weighing in the conversation. If you can just dial back on the all caps, I'd appreciate it. Okay, because it just you're bringing enough here. You don't need the all caps, and I don't want the chat to be devolved into something where people feel they need to talk in all caps in order to be seen. So if you could dial that back, I'd appreciate that. Thanks.
26 Delta are over 160 billion, and that's climbing. We expect that number will probably go over 200 billion soon. So I think the DOGE team is doing an incredible job. They're going to continue doing an incredible job, and I'll continue to be visiting here and be a friend and advisor to the president. And I look forward to times being back in this amazing room.
But I don't understand, like, how is it supposed to be operating if he's not? I don't understand how that's going to be. They say it's supposed to be going. Initially, they told us this was going for a year and a half. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to kid you. I'm a little concerned, Jim.
He's still going to be an advisor.
Yeah, but if they're not actually, if the other folks, are they able to continue working? Are they working in their current capacity?
Yeah, what they ended up doing is a bunch of the people, like that guy that was named was Big Balls or whatever.
Yeah.
He got hired as he's now works for the government and either the Treasury Department or somewhere else. But it says right here, Grok says, wait, no.
I sort of feel as if like maybe they're just trying to make it seem like it's like, we'll be friends, but we'll really be friends, like I'm getting that vibe. I'm really getting that vibe. I'm getting that vibe of, don't worry, no, we'll still be friends. We'll talk all the time. In like that final kiss off,
Because currently it's being led by someone named Amy Gleason.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a guy, he was like an Indian looking fellow or Asian, type looking fellow that was some CEO from some company that he discovered a bunch of fraud in the elections. I thought we watched it. Didn't we watch the video when he was talking, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's who was basically running it now. It's like either from Uber, maybe he's either Uber or somewhere. What the
Airbnb.
Airbnb, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the next clip here.
And we'll remember you as we announce billions of dollars of extra waste, fraud, and abuse. Just as an example, DOGE canceled $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education, $101 million, and that was just a small section of the Department of Education. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. And the landlord never made the kind of money that he made in the last short period of time. $59 million to a hotel in New York City, $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. In Burma, does anyone know about Burma? $42 million for social and behavioral change in Uganda. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. I can say it's $2 billion to Stacey Abrams and her environmental movement. There was $100 in the account, and all of a sudden they found $2 billion in the account.
Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams. Some of these folks got to start going. We got to start prosecuting some of these people.
Yes.
We really do. We really do. White Rose responding to me. Therefore, it's sorry, but I have repeatedly tried to tell you he embedded AI in the institutions, then announced they lost their control machine, no human control. See, I keep hearing these warnings about AI, and I understand the concerns about AI. I don't know if I appreciate the significance of the concerns enough. I recognize that it's possible that the concerns are a proper call to a warning about like what AI ultimately will become in the relatively near future, 5 years, 10 years. That it can be something that we can't even conceive of today. And I recognize that. It's very hard to understand, to appreciate what potential hazards lay, and in that, because it's not something we ever imagined before, other than like sci-fi movies like the Terminator talking about like, machines taking over, which is not something anyone envisions actually happening. So that's why it's sort of like, I don't know what to say to that other than like, how do you what are you proposing? If you're saying there's a problem, like what are you proposing? You have to have there has to be some sort of proposal of a solution, right? You're not going to stop AI, because even if you outlawed it here, it would still continue across the globe. So you can't just stop AI. So I don't know what to do. It ends up coming across as like something that we should be like really terribly concerned about, and I don't know what we should do. And I don't like raising alarm bells about something that I've not heard anyone proffer a solution that seems viable. So, I'm not trying to trivialize the claim. I'm simply saying a claim of a concern without even a proposal of what to do about it just it feels fruitless. So that's why I sort of like, I tend to tune that sort of messaging out, because I'm trying to advance solutions that seem like they have potential to be productive, or what I think could be productive. Getting back to this thread here, these aren't isolated incidents talking about the DOGE cuts. They represent complete absence of procurement oversight, usage monitoring, and accountability mechanisms. When government operates without market discipline, this is the inevitable result. DOGE documented decades of institutional failure. Quote, "We found things that are unbelievably stupid and unbelievably bad. Quote, many things we don't want to go out with until we're sure. They're strategically timing disclosures for maximum political impact." I don't know. I think Carl Meta is hoping that that's true. I don't know how he knows that. Information becomes ammunition deployed at calculated moments. All right. This thread is starting to have a feel to me of like your clickbait type of thing. So it's like, oh, great things are coming.
Yeah.
I don't like. I came up with this thread. It's not Jim's. I stumbled on this, and I was like, I sort of had some clips in here which I thought could be interesting. The broader implications are profound. Musk's team embedded thought throughout agencies, permanent advisory access without traditional constraints, tech sector efficiency principles applied to federal operations. This is an institutional capture disguised as government reform. All right. He seems very excited by this. In the right hands, anything could be good. In the wrong hands, that sounds almost a little scary. Here's what the constitutional framework didn't anticipate: unelected tech leaders with permanent executive influence, private sector methodology replacing bureaucratic processes. That does sound better. Market-driven accountability in traditionally political institutions. I think that's good. I think that's probably good too. The Golden Key ceremony formalized this new power structure. Musk now operates with presidential level access across agencies. No confirmation hearings, no oversight requirements, no legal limitations. Future administrations will replicate this model. Which that sounds kind of scary, actually.
Yeah.
And I gave him a little special something we have here.
Thank you.
A very special that I give to very special people. I have given it to some, but it goes to very special people, and I thought I'd give it to Elon as a presentation from our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. I've seen a lot. The luck in this is amazing.
Large lot. And I gave him a little.
All right, so he gets the golden key. This precedent establishes parallel executive authority, tech billionaires as permanent advisory class, government efficiency throughout private sector integration. Like I said, he seems very excited about this. What he's describing here actually sounds pretty scary to me. Traditional separation of powers fundamentally altered. What you witnessed was a quiet revolution in American governance, not reform, structural transformation. Most Americans understand the constitutional implications of what just occurred.
I was seeing something, but I couldn't find out enough about it to pull it in. Something about Palantir, that somehow they're rolling Palantir into the government agencies.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, brother?
Palantir, Palantir, that it's like like an AI company where they spy on people. I don't know. I saw something I couldn't find anything more than just people talking about it on Twitter. With this people talking about how we were just talking about how the AI and are doing these things in the different agencies and so. But I don't know. I'm still I shouldn't even have brought it up. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what
You don't know what Palantir is? You never heard of Palantir,
No.
the company?
No, I was picturing that Mr. Peanut guy with a walking stick and a monocle when you said that. So, and then I was thinking, I want peanuts.
Okay.
Peanuts. I'm still here, Anthony F. Soldier of Providence. Struggling a bit. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm still here to support you and what you do. Sorry I haven't been able to donate as much as I used to. That's fine. I just want you here. My dog's been taking a bit of the finances I didn't have. Thank you. I appreciate you being here, brother. Very, very much. I'm gonna give you the horn for the very generous 20. Thank you, brother. And I hope that things pick up for you. I hope they get better. What else did I have here? Potential legal argument. Uzelian says with his Parkinson's, it made it hard to sign his names. They used the auto pen, and he knew about all of them. If he has knowledge, that's everything. That's the key. Did he have knowledge? Did Biden have knowledge? Did he not have knowledge? Nothing's going to be. I don't expect any of his signatures being validated.
Yeah, nobody's ever said, like, I've heard different things. Someone said there's supposed to be like 5 people signing off on someone using the auto pen, and there's supposed to be like a register, and so that they know. And
that to me could be a basis to invalidate the auto pen. If you're telling me that there's established procedure for use of the auto pen in order to make sure it's not abused, and those established procedures are not documented as being followed, and not just followed, but documented as being followed, that to me would. And I assume that they're supposed to be. Assuming that they're supposed to be documented, I would think that could serve to invalidate it. But we haven't heard reports of that yet. So until we hear reports of that, I'm going to assume that I'm going to start with an assumption that we're probably not going to actually see anything stripped away that was signed off by Biden. That's what I would assume. I would assume nothing's gonna come of it. That until you hear something showing that there was a corruption of the normal process for the auto pen, because the auto pen didn't start with Joe Biden.
Auto pen's been around since 1800s.
So
it was different forms. It's not more advanced now.
I would think.
It was all mechanical, and it was an all mechanical thing, if I'm not mistaken, when it was first designed in the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
But then now it's more digital.
Yeah. So I also had this in my thumbnail. Let's cover this. Biden being a lunatic, which I thought this was. It's funny. His eyes look so black. He has like these black eyes. Biden on his cancer diagnosis. We're going to beat this, and he has other things he plans on beating.
And there's also been a lot of discussion recently about your mental and physical capabilities while you were in office.
You can see that. I'm mentally incompetent, and I can't walk, and I can beat the hell out of both of them.
Do you want to reply to any of those reports, and also to the fact that there are some Democrats who are now questioning whether you should have run for re-election in the first place?
Why didn't they run against me then? Because I'd have beaten them.
Do you have any regrets?
No, I don't.
And there's also been a lot of discussion recently.
He's out of his mind. He's out of his mind. I mean, we all saw how he couldn't make it off a stage. And the guy is so out of his mind. He's literally out. He couldn't. He's like Tim Conway in the Carol Burnett show, like playing, and the one who's always screaming about Mrs. O'Wiggins. I don't know if you're old enough to remember the Carol Burnett show. I really dated myself with that reference. But Tim Conway used to play this old man doddering along, and that's what he looked like when Obama was trying to help him off the stage at a rally, and he's wandering the wrong way. He's got his arm there. He's like, "No, we're coming. Let's go. He's tugging him by his arm. I mean,
I preferred Tim Conway as Dorf.
Yeah, I'm just saying that he's crazy. It's amazing that this person was ever even the figurehead president, and that the media like pretended like, oh, we had no idea that he was incapacitated. It makes every time I see him, it just makes the whole Tapper book sound like such a friggin' joke. It's such an utter Such an utter joke. What was the guy's name? I'm looking for the someone in the audience is going to know the character I'm talking about. What was the name of the guy? He had, I don't know what it was. Hey, look at this. He subbed. Well done. Well done. Good job. My God. Yeah. I'm so glad we went from that to Trump. Wow. It's unbelievable. All right. What do we have next?
Okay. It's up to you. I would probably skip the one of ICE partners arrests the 14 involved in the SBA fraud scheme.
Yeah,
it's not really, I mean, it's just, and then even the Secretary of Agriculture talking, we talked about that before. That was the 66 million stamp.
Going on to number 8.
Yeah, I would go to number 8 or 9. It's up to you.
All right, let's pull up number 8 here. Lauren Witzke. Who is Lauren Witzke? She's a film producer. All right. So she said she was reporting this. You know, these foreign convenience store owners, along with their H-1B employees working the registers, are all in on the card skimming scam. We need to establish harsh punishments for these foreigners, followed by immediate deportations when caught trying to steal money from Americans. Let's check out this video here. EBT, Secret Service and NYPD raid bodega. If you're not familiar with the term bodega, that's what we call stores in New York City, which are basically they're selling. You can see here what they're selling. They sell candy and cake. It's like basically like a mini 7-Eleven without the 7-Eleven branding. They tend to be smaller than your typical 7-Eleven. They're like the size of, let's say, 2 bedrooms. So, and they're just packed, and they're just packed filled with like convenience store type of items. Traditionally, they used to sell newspapers, obviously less so now since no one buys newspapers anymore. But that's where people go to the local bodega, and they tend to be run by people who have English as a second language, and they have been like that since I was a kid.
You do your job. So somebody puts an EBT card in there. What do you close your eyes? You don't look? I don't know. Well, what do you know? So the reason we're here is for your food stamp machine. You don't have a license to take food stamps here. That white machine on the counter, the white Valor point of sale machine. You're gonna tell me I don't do EBT? I didn't have any machine. You're sure? Why don't you got your phone? Call the owner. Tell him to come on down. We're gonna have a little chat.
And then the extension that they had connected to it.
We'll look at it and see what the AMR is.
You have no idea how
a small store could generate $1 million in illegal transactions in a year without difficulty at all.
So this is becoming very popular.
Unfortunately, it is. How long have you been taking EBT here?
I didn't have any EBT.
This is. I think this ties into that story about the SNAP fraud that they found and the other people, and because that had to do with New York too, and that's why Schumer and these people are complaining about. They're saying, "Yeah, we're stopping this. We're cutting off this fraud, the SNAP fraud." And
right,
so,
and Schumer coming out and saying they're trying to take away SNAP from poor Patty. That was
Patty,
covering on
who happens
Thursday.
to have been alumni of the Opie and Anthony show. Her name is Stalker Patty from the
Is
Opie
that
and
who it
Anthony
is?
Show. That's who it was. Yeah, I was
Really?
like, oh my God, yeah, that's crazy. New York's tie-in story.
Who's Stalker Patty?
That was the girl Patty that he talked to. She was a guest that used to appear on the Opie and Anthony show all the time in the 2000s and late 90s, and she was crazy lady.
EBT, and you got EBT machine on the counter, and we sent somebody in here earlier today and used EBT.
I
So
don't
please,
know. I don't know about that. I worked them with Kuwait. I didn't have any EBT. I didn't work. I didn't know about those stores. I guess.
They're doing a
Biden signed 8,000 pardons, 1,500 in a single day. There's no way he knew about any of them. Speeches always ended with his Roomba impression. Yeah, it was a Roomba impression.
service to the legitimate stores that are out there by bypassing the authorization process, and it allows them to commit other crimes using EBT and go undetected.
Hopefully it's a message to the community that we see the fraud that's going on with the SNAP benefits and EBT benefits. And also it's a message to the community that, hey, there are people there out here, the service, our partners with New York City Police Department, USDA, that care about you, that are going to investigate these crimes. And it's also a message to the folks that are doing these crimes. People are coming for you.
What we do today
Yeah.
and the totality of the operation, since the beginning.
So the 39 million is the totality, I'm assuming.
Yeah, those are estimates that.
So this acts as the pin capture, as we have on the point of sale. But instead of getting the key logger strokes, as you put it on your point of sale terminal, it will take video. So as it's sitting on the video, looking down at the pin, it's gathering video and it runs constantly. So if you're putting in your code, 1, 2, 3, 4, enter, it's entered on the camera device. Bad guys will retrieve this device, download the video,
Whoa.
and then they'll pull out the skimming device that is inside the card reader. So that will sit in the card reader when you input your card. So it'll fit right on the bottom. So when you use your card, acting the same measure as this, as you're swiping through here, except you're getting your data on the deep insert skimming device.
Wow. So they're able to basically keep stealing from the card. Oh. Oh. So it's not they're just selling, but they're actually using it to basically steal the funds from the SNAP card. So they're actually ripping off the people who are using the EBT.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job. Look at this. You actually have police doing like real police work. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? That's so weird. Ah, God, so glad we actually have people. We actually have people running the store again. Oh my God. All right, moving on. What do we got next here? Number 9, FBI Sentinel program creates invisible files that can't be.
Oh, that's a good story.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. I don't even know what we're saying here.
All right. It's okay. They found out that the FBI had this program that basically they could bury information and hide it in a black hole, is what they were calling, where no one could search for it, no one could find it, and only top echelon FBI people could know about it. So, like, they hid information for Hunter Biden's laptop in there. They hid information about the Fusion GPS in there. And it was like, it's called Sentinel. And there's no way for them to track it. So if someone queries like, hey, where's the information? Nothing comes up because it's not in the regular system. It's buried in this other system.
Oh, wow. Wow. In case you missed it from late yesterday, explaining invisible files FBI maintains on Sentinel that can't be seen by other agents. Implications are huge because if those searching for relevant files don't know they exist, they can't be provided. Wow. Criminal defendants won't be provided potentially exculpatory evidence. Civil litigants won't provide relevant discovery. We'll never know anything about like where Epstein is, right? If it's hidden on Sentinel. Think FBI agents involved in censorship. Congress denied requested documents. Inspector General and Special Counsel don't get all the documents. Just uncovered this tidbit from FBI report on Sentinel that FBI leadership, i.e. 7th floor, could define access and thus brand things prohibited access raises huge implications in political investigations. The Sentinel system requirements stipulate that Sentinel will provide the capability to control access based upon user roles, in addition to allowing FBI leadership at FBI headquarters and the field to define user roles and responsibilities to fit the records management operating procedures. Determine whether Sentinel users believe that the system access controls were sufficient. We asked them to confirm whether they believe that they're able to exceed their authority in Sentinel. We analyzed user survey responses and found that 83% of survey respondents did not believe that Sentinel allowed them to exceed their authority. Another 13% responded that they did not know whether Sentinel allowed them to exceed authority, and 4% believe Sentinel did. Interesting. Wow. Given S.C. Mueller's team used Sentinel Cloak of Invisibility, prohibited access coding to hide relevant files from other FBI agents investigating potential crimes, such as by Nellie Orr. It raises real concerns that they also hid evidence from Durham.
Inspector General, yeah, Durham.
Inspector General Durham in Congress. Wow. So So they don't have to burn the files, they just bury them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's revisit this article from 5 years ago and ask whether evidence regarding Manafort was hidden. What about Steele? What else was coded? Prohibition access, keeping from the Inspector General Durham, or agents investigating Manafort and Steele. Wow.
Yeah, it's a developing story, but I thought it was good. You know, I mean, basically what it's saying is that they have a way in the systems at the FBI where the top people can just put like code, some kind of code in, and it'll hide the stuff, and nobody can find it unless you know the code.
Here's how EC prohibited access files versus restricted access. According to this FBI agent, then when you search Sentinel for various terms, if the files are coded prohibited access, search will show no responsive documents, so you're not even aware that it's there to try and be accessed. Relevant FBI DOJ information related to this assessment was inaccessible to FBI investigators, given that the Trump-Russia collusion investigations were in the FBI systems under prohibited access, which, unlike restricted access status, precludes investigators from detecting the existence of potentially relevant serials. In other words, when search terms that exist in the prohibited access status cases are searched in Sentinel, the particular search will receive a false negative Sentinel search response. So it will lie to you and tell you it doesn't exist. In contrast, when things are coded restricted, a search will show hits, but say you're not allowed to access it. You don't have the proper clearance for it. Washington Field Office FBI agents EC noted that May 30th, 2019, the day after the Mueller resigned, the special counsel's office provided FBI agent Bruce Orr's redacted FD 302s, but asked for unredacted versions, which were in prohibited access holdings. This is so much bigger than just Mueller and what happened there. It's
probably been going on for years. Who knows what's in there? There could be stuff in there about Kennedy. There could be stuff in there about Martin Luther King. There could be stuff Iran-Contra. Who knows what's in there?
Wow. May 31st, the SCO team advised that some but not all cases related to Trump-Russia collusion have been migrated from prohibited status to restricted status, so investigators might have the opportunity to identify potentially relevant restricted access serials via Sentinel searches, request access to those particular serials. At the time, FBI investigators were not granted access to those restricted access cases, but could, through running Sentinel searches, see the particular search terms were found in non-viewable serials. Obviously, investigators would and do remain incapable of identifying potentially relevant serials that are still in prohibited status, access status, because we just don't know that they're there. EC adds, the special counsel team said most but not all documents had been migrated from prohibited status to restricted access status. Significantly, though, investigators would and do remain incapable of identifying potentially relevant serials in prohibited access status. Look at this. That paragraph confirms two different systems, one with restricted and one with prohibited. In prohibited, it's invisible. This paragraph confirms the point. Washington Field Office agent can tell there are 70 documents in the restricted access system that include the search term Berkowitz, but cannot know how many more are in prohibited access because Sentinel system will not show any if documents are in prohibited access. So while everyone's focusing on Nellie Orr, her alleged lies to Congress and the bullying of Congress against her, did post-special counsel Mueller's office ever provide documents? The scandal here is much bigger. But Margot, it's much bigger than just Mueller. Mueller is a tiny little thing compared to everything else. Like I said, we don't know any how many things with Kennedy. Every secret that's out there could be in prohibited access. Every secret that we've been wondering about. Who was Epstein's handlers? What connections did he have to the FBI? Who was he blackmailing? All of those files might be in prohibited access. And
the next thing that she says, number 10 in her thing, is the scary part.
FBI maintenance of prohibited access files that do not show up in search requests instead means agents pulling Brady material to comply with the Constitution will not even know there are potentially exculpatory materials they should be providing. So even if they're trying to act in good faith, this is what I was talking about earlier with that NBC reporter. It's like you think you know where you have access and you know what's going on. You don't. And
Like the Diddy stuff could be in prohibited access.
Exactly. And the people you're talking to might even be doing a good faith search, but they don't realize how they're being blocked from actually seeing things in restricted access. The civil cases, think FBI's role in censorship industrial complex, FOIA cases, congressional investigations, the files are invisible and won't appear in the search. This isn't me saying, it's the FBI agent saying that in an EC sent to the post special counsel's office, the EC was approved by 3 supervisors because even the supervisors don't know. Why was the special counsel submit the internal materials of Trump in the electors case? Because the documents were invisible. It's not even about Trump or Russia collusion. It calls into question the way the FBI handles everything. This whole FBI.
It's crazy.
Everything. Wow. This is immense. Did Durham the IG search for prohibited access documents? Excuse me. Did post special counsel Mueller ever provide the Washington field office documents related to Nellie Orr and special and search prohibited access? Here's how the DOJ's Inspector General describes prohibited access. Documents and data uploaded in Sentinel are assigned one of 3 access levels: unrestricted, restricted, or prohibited. The extent to which the information appears in search results depend on data's access level and the searcher's permissions. Prohibited data is visible only to users with permission to view the underlying case. All other users receive no search results. So that will even had the FBI wink would get that.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I'm saying.
Even their boss would get that.
They're not explaining who has access and how you do you have to actually know the file you're looking for exactly in the prohibited access? Like you have to know and know, you know what I mean, and how to get it.
Yeah,
it does. They're not explaining it like it's because it almost seems like what they're saying is even Cash and Bongino can't find out what's in these prohibited files.
Yeah. You
know, that even the president can't find out what's in the like Trump should be able to say, I want to know everything that's in the prohibited files right now.
And that's why like, and I'd be totally fine with them saying, look, there are files we can't access, but tell us that. Stop being embarrassed. I just wish they would just tell us that. God. Wow. That is a crazy story.
It is, right? I thought that was like, this was a crazy story.
Yeah, that is a crazy story. That's really big. I don't care about the San Diego employees flashbangs against protesters.
That was just,
yep,
trying to get filler. There's the one about the judge, the letter that 130 retired judges wrote a letter saying that the charges must be dropped against that judge because she has immunity.
More than 130. This is the last story we're going to cover, and then we're going to bust on out of here. Give me the link for your channel also. I need to put it in there.
Oh, okay.
More than 130 retired judges urge federal court to drop charges against Wisconsin Judge Hannah Dugan. Bipartisan group. They love that word, bipartisan. More than 130 retired judges filed a brief Friday urging a federal court to drop charges against Wisconsin Judge Hannah Dugan, saying her arrest undermines centuries of precedent on judicial immunity. It's not judicial immunity when you walk outside your courtroom. It's not judicial immunity when you walk outside the courtroom. You're not a judge, no matter where you go, that you're just like, God made you a judge, and now you can do whatever the heck you want to do, even outside. You're not a judge outside the courtroom. You're a judge in the courtroom. You're not a judge. You're not doing your judicial duties outside the courtroom. Maybe if you're sitting in judgment over a case, then the litigants or their counsel come before you in chambers. Okay, there you're sitting as a judge. Not when you're in a hallway. You're not a judge in the hallway. There's no judge in the hallway. There's a hall monitor there. Dugan, Milwaukee, these idiots. They all of them have such hubris. Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge was arrested April 25 by FBI agents of federal allegations prevented. We know the story. In an amicus brief filed Friday, the group of judges argued that Dugan shouldn't be prosecuted. She's entitled to absolute immunity for her official acts. Yeah, but it's not an official act, doofuses. 130 stupid judges. I don't know which ones they are.
Under their logic, so that would mean then, by their logic, that if she's on the bench, she could officially, kill someone from the bench, he should just pull out a gun and shoot someone and go, I sentence you to death, and say, well, it's official act, so I can get away with it.
Yeah, I know. That's what
absolute immunity would mean.
Ridiculous. Foreign prosecution is the same absolute immunity that is given to members of the legislative and executive branches for the actions taken in official capacity. She's not in official capacity just because she's wearing the robe. That's just not the way it works. So she wears the robe to a nightclub so she can do whatever the hell she wants there also. The group of 138 former state and federal judges called the prosecution of Dugan, who was indicted this month on account of concealing an individual to prevent arrests, an egregious overreach by the executive branch. Go to hell, idiots. Threatens public trust in the judicial system. You're threatening public trust because you're saying judges do whatever the hell they want. You're the ones who are creating this crisis. Thank God you're all retired. Allowing prosecute this, you're only displaying how pathetic the judiciary is. Prosecution of Judge Dugan for the alleged actions would create a chilling effect on judges that they can't walk outside the courtroom and lie to federal officials. Yeah. Stifle independent decision. It's not decision making when you're going outside the courtroom. Idiots. God. Should start with our whole censorship of these people. Censor them. So we have a call for end the censorship. Start with those idiots. All right. Jim tells you.
Try.
Jim tells you I'm gonna post this in the let me post this here where folks can see you. This was good, and I think my audience can agree that I was better today about interacting with them. I was working much harder to try and make sure that I was doing that. Oh, I see Charles is here. Charles Company is here. I want to say that the reason I'm noting that is because in the past he drops memberships like after I'm closing down. I think he does that on purpose. So I won't call them out and embarrass him or something like that. So I'm just going to embarrass him here and now and just say, I've seen you do that several times, and I just wanted to say thank you to you for that.
Did you see the $5 super grant from Uzelian?
Uzelian says, Joe, but I'm a judge outside the courtroom. I am Judge Dredd. Yes.
There was another one above it too about Parkinson's. Did you see that or no?
I don't remember that one. Here it is. Potential legal argument. Yeah, that one I covered. The Parkinson's, where I said I think I definitely addressed that earlier. So I'm pinning it in the chat now. I'm urging you all go over to his channel and just hit it there. If you're watching after the show, click the link and you'll see the link in the description, which I am putting it in the description right now. Let's say Jim. Save that. So now it's in the description. And give me your thoughts if you think that I think this worked well tonight. This was good.
I thought it worked great. I mean, I could always be quiet more.
No, you were great. I don't want you to this was great. You were awesome. All right. I thank you all for joining me. I just want to remind you, in case you tuned in late, I'm not going to be having a stream tomorrow. I'm not going to be in court on Monday or Tuesday. I'm not going to be streaming on Monday. It's a Jewish holiday, so I'm shutting down now until the earliest is Tuesday night. I urge you to check out goodlogic.locals.com. Sign up there, and you'll get notifications as to whether or not I'm streaming on Tuesday night. It's up in the air. Jim over here really wants me to stream. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. We'll see. If it does, it'll probably be late on Tuesday, like 11 o'clock or so. So I'm not sure. We'll have to see. If there's something earth-shattering in the news, you'll know it, and I'll be covering it. When I say earth-shattering, like attempted assassination of Trump, that's an earth-shattering type of thing, which I'm definitely going to jump on and do a stream. Something earth-shattering, hopefully nothing remotely like that, but you understand what I'm saying. Something earth-shattering, in that case, I certainly would be streaming. But and we'll see. Well, I'll see you Tuesday night, and I'll give you notifications on Tuesday as soon as I can as to whether or not I plan on streaming that night. But I certainly plan on being in court on Wednesday and streaming Wednesday night. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, drop a comment because it really helps with the algorithm. And I thank you all for joining me. And a special thank you to you, Jim, for your awesome.
Just tell everyone to be careful of the solar flares.
Be careful of the sun. Don't look in the sun. Never look in the sun. Oh, and also lab meat. That you don't eat lab meat, right?
No, never.
Because it's not for him. It's not for you. It's not for him. It's not for her. It's for them. It's not for you. And also, don't eat the bugs. Don't do it. Don't eat the bugs. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much. And as always, Godspeed.